far left.
Partial.
Look to the far left.
Oh, back out, please. Video.
All right, so here we are at the far left. I see a burrow-like thing. Is that what we're looking at?
That's what I saw things coming out of. I don't know if I see them now, though. I think I scared it to death.
We may have scared them when we sat down. Can we zoom in to the left towards the bottom? It looks like maybe there's a burrow.
Do we have a lot of extra weight? Oh, I've got a lot of depth on.
Yeah.
I should be able to just float off passively, right? Yeah. There we go.
If you look at the bottom center, there's something moving in that depression.
Wait, that little like hoof print looking thing there to the right.
Yeah, it's right in the center of the bottom part of the screen. Now it's moving off to the right.
Oh, sorry.
For the folks at home, I'll remind you all, there's a small delay between what you see on shore versus what we're seeing here. So sometimes it's a little hard to focus in exactly on what we want to focus in on. I think I might just ask that we keep moving.
Yeah. Did we, scientists on shore, happy with the shot of the anemone on the sponge? I think Chris was saying the sponge is likely bolosoma. And there was definitely what looked like an anemone. I don't think it was a relicanthus. I think it may have been a true anemone. Pilot, can we get a zoom on the sponge on the right, please? And then we'll be good to move after that.
Mm-hmm. Back to the sponge on the right. Zoom video.
Nice.
That's partial.
Okay, so here there are actually 2 or 3 even anemones on this sponge stalk. And again, this is just a great example of how little hard substrate there is in this area, and the competition for hard substrate, where you've got 2 different species of anemones living on this sponge stalk.
Give this back to Chris.
Those were true anemones, not relicanthus.
Come partial wider anyway.
All right, that's partial.
I think we need a professional.
You're fine.
Okay. Let's come back in again, please, video.
Okay, so there's been some suggestion to collect this. Do we think it's a new species? What's the dealio here? And also, maybe we should have the discussion where,
I've got some more zoom.
This is the first sponge of this type we've seen, I think. I don't think it's the Colophacus, no.
Go ahead and type them.
All right, that's full.
Chris, can you tell us, is this different than the Colophacus? Is this a different sponge? I'm a little confused. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see without seeing where the stem is going into the body of the sponge. But even if it was a Colophacus, it's an unusual one. I haven't seen it before. So given we have 2 hours left in the dive and we're not seeing tons of other things, I would propose that one of these sponges be considered for a collection. And then the question is whether something with this type of an anemone would be the best choice of everybody, or whether we ought to hold out for one that had the relicanthus on it.
Tiva? Scientists show, how do we feel about that?
Pilot, I'm maxed out on my Zeus. So.
Copy. If we want to collect this, we need to know now.
Okay. Okay, pilots, we'd like to collect this, please.
Okay. Can you get the ship stopped, maybe?
Stop the ship?
Yeah, we're going to collect this, and I'm already under Sirius.
Yeah.
Okay, come full wide.
Bridge nav.
Video.
full wide.
I'd like to stop this move, please.
I mean, okay, wait, hold on. So scientists show, I know this has 3 anemones on it, but is it more worthwhile to get one with a relicanthus?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think from the non-biology perspective, I just want to make sure that we're following
Bridge Nav, we'd like to
the protocol
define
that's
another
been
move
set
once you
out.
come to
That
a
this
stop.
is either a dominant species in this area, or that it's a novel species that we haven't seen before for this area. So does it?
I'd like to move on the
does it fit
reciprocal
our,
of what we've
our
been
goals?
doing. What would that be? 1, 2, 3.
Well, I'm wondering whether or not we're just looking at a Caulophacus head-on because you're facing right into the current. The other one to the left is definitely one of those Caulophacus.
No,
so if that's the case, then this would be sort of a dominant organism, and also it's an unusual Caulophacus, let's put it this way. I think there's a chance it's a new species. So I think the sponge, again, should be collected. It's whether or not we hold out for things that are growing on its stalk, and if there's something better growing on the stalk of a different specimen.
Well, it certainly seemed that the one with the relicanthus was more common around here. But
yeah, we'd like to go 20
Steven, what do you
meters,
think?
bearing 083 degrees and decimal 2 knots.
Or at least so
decimal
you
point.
get me.
Yeah, decimal 2 knots.
That's okay too. I'd like to.
The relicanthus one, those are really hard to collect under normal circumstances if they're on rocks.
Perfect,
and so the fact that they're relicanthus that are attached to a stalk makes it actually really attractive for collection because the stalk could be grabbed below the anemone very easily, and the anemone would be put in the box completely intact, except for the ends of the antenna that don't, or the tentacles that don't fit.
With that said, Chris, then I think let's hold out for one with a relicanthus. If we don't find one, then that's unfortunate, but I really think that's the better option. So, pilots, we're going to move on. Sorry for that delay.
Bridge Nav.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
plans.
Okay,
Chris, thank you.
Delay that.
We'd like to go back to our original move, bearing 263. Do you know the distance to the point that we had defined, or should I give it back to you again? Great. Why don't you make it 3.5 meters?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Sorry, watch these. We were getting on the hairy edge there.
No, we're sorry for taking so long to make that decision.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
The watch leads were 35 meters from the original endpoint that the ship, for the ship.
You could lose his kids, Brian.
So it'll take a little while for the vehicles to actually swing under the ship once it stops at that point.
Okay, thank you.
And
all right, so
thank you, Bridge.
shore-based scientists, we are getting sort of towards the end of our original line, and Patty had talked a little bit about what we might want to do for the remaining time. Patty, do you want to walk through that again and see if we have agreement among all the scientists?
Sure. Thanks, Deb. Yeah, one of the things that I was suggesting is most important in this particular area is the fact that we are on kind of a linear ridge in the...
Can we zoom on this whole Thurian, please?
Yeah, of the mud volcano. So what I'm suggesting we do is to move along the ridge, which at this point is a little bit to the northwest and then east,
coming into view.
Yeah, a little bit to the northwest and then continue westward. So if anybody has any other suggestions, that's great. I'd love to hear it. And then we can find out from people what this is.
Okay, video, come on in.
So this looks like a Holothurian or sea cucumber, and it is just an incredible color. And it's very round.
This one's really, really round.
It's a good observation.
Well, I mean, they're mostly elongate, right?
Yeah,
so
sorry.
This one looks like it has had a good life. Let me put it that way. Why is it shaped so differently? Oh, look, some of them are round. Yeah, thank you. Fat and happy.
So,
keep coming.
I mean, perhaps it's a Synallactidae.
All right, that's not quite full.
From the family Synallactidae. I cannot say much more than that. It's definitely a Holothurian.
It's very
round.
It's a
great color.
It is a beautiful color.
That's all you're going to get from me, shoreside scientists. Any thoughts?
Give you one tilt up here.
They've all agreed it's a Holothurian.
Okay, well, there we go. We can move on whenever you're ready, pilot.
Copy.
Thank you.
So actually,
Lifting off. Sorry, dude.
based on what
no
Patty
warning.
was saying,
Coming wide.
that the ridge is about,
That was my fault.
Full wide.
let's see, maybe 300 meters north of us.
How long will it take to get there?
Well, at the rate we've been going, at least an hour, but we could speed up a little
No,
bit.
we could speed. If we could speed up, I think that might be good.
And
It's a taller one. Or is it further back?
Out there, I'm not sure. Go check it out.
Could we start slowly moving in that, like not slowly, but could we start moving in that direction now, or
absolutely, yeah.
how? I mean, how far away from the end of our waypoint is that going to take us?
Oh, we're almost
Oh,
at
we're
the
almost there. Okay,
waypoint. We're,
then yeah. So
so why don't we start a new move? We'll go directly north up to that ridge, and
Yep.
then go down the ridge.
yeah, I think that would be good. And I think that once we start that move, I think we'd like to try to, as you said, do it quickly rather than stop at every single thing we see.
Right, sure. So that will be well, and then we'll be
I
moving.
wonder if you could zoom out the bathymetry map so we can see a little bit better what the terrain is like.
They're doing it right
that's-
now.
Thank you.
What's this here, Brian?
So Patty,
Now you're going to test my skill.
the navigator sees the ridge to the north, and so we're going to set the ship in that direction, and we're going to try to make some haste to get over there because it's actually about 300 meters away.
So the idea then is to move west
Wow.
along
Okay,
that ridge.
yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
So the idea then is to move west along that ridge. Is that right?
Patty,
It's
is
too
the
clo-
idea
too
to
close.
move west along that ridge or
Coming
east
wide.
along that ridge? Which way is uphill,
That's
navigator?
full wide.
Well, it's uphill going.
Oh.
Coming right at us.
Oh well,
Like once we get on the ridge, is it all the
Nice.
same? No, it's
no, it'll be uphill.
to the
Actually, this looks like it would be uphill going east.
east. So Patty, would you rather go east do you want to go uphill once we get to this ridge? It's not, I mean, it's just still a really gentle slope.
Yeah. Shouldn't really matter too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go uphill.
Okay.
So pilots, we're going to go 350 meters due north. We'd like to go pretty fast. Can we go decimal 3 knots?
That's fine. Limit zooms, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Kate.
I think we've got a lot of really good zooms for 'em today.
Yeah, today's
So-
been great.
So I think we could probably skip
Bridge
a little
nav.
bit of time with that.
Copy that.
We'd like to go
Just- this might just be the time when we
350
go over, like,
meters,
a
350 meters, bearing
Trilobite?
000,
And then you would be to blame for that.
decimal 3
I
knots.
don't think we're going to find a trilobite
You
here.
never know.
I feel pretty confident in saying we're not going to find a trilobite
I'm
here.
sorry, there was some other
sorry.
noise. Decimal
Be
0
quiet.
decimal 3 knots. Thank you.
Looking for trilobites eye.
This is why they turn off the party line,
So as-
because we're too
as a
loud.
geologist, I have found the biology on this dive totally amazing.
I think that all the biologists are pleased to know that you're being converted. I, of course, was converted many, many dives ago.
Thank you, Bridge.
By that
I
lobster.
may be converted, but I think I get the B- or maybe even a C-.
Hey, you're at least identifying biology. More so than me. I just point and ask for a zoom on stuff.
Northbound.
Copy. Is that move already in?
Yeah, I think they.
You call it in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Delay.
Yeah, we're not going to see it on the bottom for
15.
a while.
Keep running off there on you. Come back home. You go snap. Is that a shrimp out there, Brian?
Snapping.
Yeah, it looks like it. You can hold there. Is that a typical shrimp? No interest, or?
So this looks like the Penaeid shrimp we've been seeing. Well, Caridian Penaeid maybe.
Try to come
we've been seeing on a couple dives.
Hold there.
The ones that swim incredibly majestically. Thanks very much, pilots and video. That's great. Happy to move on whenever you are.
Whenever you're clear, video.
All right, come on.
Happy. Tracking some moving objects for you, video.
Yeah, thanks for the test.
Yeah, no worries. Anything on sonar?
Pretty clean.
It's a big negative.
Looking for sharks?
Yeah.
Turning northbound.
Looks like there might be a fish out in the distance coming screen left high.
Ah. Yeah, and then what's that? Right above the lasers now, is that just a rock? Okay. I will not be able to reach it, but we can try to snap on any of that.
Is it a very far away fish?
Tis. Gonna go ahead, video. See what we can do with that. I'm at the end of my tether.
It's a fish.
So what I can tell from here is that it's an ophidiid or cuskeel. You can tell because of its characteristic tail and sort of gently rounding head. And also the lack of any...
Co-pilot, can you tell me how to get the units fixed?
Dorsal
It's going to be
fins.
showing units at nautical
yeah.
miles.
In the top
Pectoral.
survey, see where it says nautical miles.
Okay, you can
Whichever.
go live video.
Right.
Come on.
We might be
It's
able to
a
get a
drop
better
down.
shot.
I'm sorry?
Just right a little bit. It's like a drop down box.
Which one?
It's
Oh, that. Oh, duh.
Why is...
How did that get changed?
when you
Thank you.
has to do with high pack. Basically, when you go back to using high pack, just make sure to click in your map somewhere, and then I don't know. Yeah.
If you don't and you use your wheel on your mouse, it changes it automatically.
Yeah.
It's an added feature. Still at the end of the tether. We can come back in though, video. It's a little closer. Yep, stand by.
Yep, so definitely an ophidiid, perhaps from the genus Basazetus. Looks like it has quite small eyes and quite a round head. I think if Mackenzie was online,
Okay,
that's what she would suggest.
And who is Mackenzie?
Mackenzie Garinger, student at University of Hawaii, and she's a deep sea fish expert like Bruce.
Copy.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, you're likely to find that the speed Sirius comes up a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Get
So
the
this is the
co-pilot.
same fish, I believe, right? Yep.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
So this is the cuskeel. We actually saw one of these already on our dive. So this is our second cuskeel.
Come back into you a little. What's that down there, Brian? We snap there?
Not sure. Coming in.
Hold there.
And for those of you who are just joining us on this dive, we are at the Hunanaf Hulo seamount, which I am probably mispronouncing in every which way.
Could we zoom in on that for a second, particularly the right side of it, where I think that's how they're living in the sediment. It's got roots.
Yep.
So, pilots, did you catch that?
I did, yeah.
I thought you might.
We're creeping up on it right now.
Okay. Perfect.
At the end of the tether, so we're just kind of waiting on that.
So, Chris, is this a sponge stock?
Yeah, I think,
Uh-oh, there were multiple.
I see a note on here, which means it would be an icidid.
Oh.
But
okay, I'm going to land and we'll give it a go from here, Brian.
I'm a little confused at the moment, I'm afraid.
You'd still like us to continue to zoom in, though?
Come on in. You zoom however you want.
That's full.
Copy.
Well, that certainly looks like it was in the sediment, and it was pulled out of the sediment. I wonder if he could pan down the length of the stem, and we have a better idea. I think it's sponge, and it could be one of those stock sponges we've been looking at.
Thank you, pilot.
You got it. Those nodes there, video?
No, I don't think so. It looks very fibrous.
Yeah, it's a sponge. You see the spicule mass that's up near the top, that end, so it's definitely a sponge. So this actually answers one of the questions I had as to how this thing was possibly growing in the sediment. And I don't know of any other Caulophacus that has roots, but I need to look into it a little bit more. But it definitely makes it a potentially valuable collection.
Before we leave, there's a hole in that. Can you mind if I push on HG2?
Negative, go ahead.
Negative, you don't mind, or negative, don't do it?
No, you said you don't.
Not this dead stock, of course, but a live sponge that Teddy made sure I was clear on.
It's funny because I was just about to turn to Diva and ask that exact question. He doesn't want the dead stock, does he?
Go for a hole.
So thanks for the clarification, although I think we were all on the same page.
Where are we looking, Brian?
That whole left of screen.
We're ready to move on.
Is that
so, pilot, we're ready to move on whenever you are.
It's on the quad. It's on the quad.
Copy.
All right, zooming Mini Zeus.
We're just looking in this hole here, watch lead.
I don't think it's a hole.
Do you see anything?
No, it's a rock with just kind of sediment around it. Yeah.
Is it a hole?
No, it's a rock. All right, coming wide. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a rock. Okay.
Come wide on.
Coming wide on.
Yeah, I think that's a little manganese nodule.
Yeah.
All right, full wide.
Copy.
I think they were hopeful it was a burrow, but it was a rock. All right, so we're going to continue to move towards the north. We are going to try to acquire this ridge that's in front of us somewhere, and then we're going to try to do a run along the ridge.
Down just a touch.
No, sir.
So, co-pilot, how much have you come up off the bottom?
You lose them.
Or let out to stay down?
Thank you.
I'm at 16, 17 off the ground.
Yep, but have you had to let some cable out to stay down?
No, saying about the same.
Okay. So as I was saying before we saw the dead stock of the sponge,
I don't know what
we are here at a mud volcano.
0.3.
We are at a depth of 3,685. We've been moving around the summit of this mud volcano. We've been investigating the geology. We've been investigating the biology, which, although it hasn't been very diverse, it's actually been fairly abundant. We've seen a lot of sponges with these very interesting relicanthus attached to them, and as well as a number of other things. We've seen an acorn worm, a holotherian. From terms of the geology, we've seen a number of different sized clasts, different sized rocks, and either very platy sediment or perhaps even serpentinite mud flows. We've also seen a lot of ripple marks, and in addition, we've seen a lot of these bioturbated traces along the top of the seafloor that I cannot pronounce because it's got a very long name.
Okay.
Lebenspuren? Spuren. Lebenspuren. I'm learning everything. I'm learning new things every day.
We can do 0.4 if you want right now.
We've got less than 2 hours left in this dive, about an hour and a half, I believe. And we're going to go see what we can see.
Are you on heading there, co-pilot?
Would you like to increase the speed to decimal 4 knots, please?
So I've just looked at my photographs of Calophacus, which I think this is a member in that genus.
That's right. We'd like to go to
decimal
decimal 4.
image that shows the base.
Chris, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. Sorry. So we just passed a sponge that has a relicanthus on it. It just went off to the left. Can we stop and collect that, please?
Stop the ship.
Is that possible?
Are you serious?
Yep. They want to collect.
Yeah, no. If it's a problem, then we can wait.
Well, we just got the speed
That's exactly
way up.
what. Yeah, this is what I was concerned about. That we were going to have to.
That's actually way out there. I'm not going to be able to reach it with that.
Okay, then don't worry. Just keep going.
Okay. Yeah, this was actually my only concern about our transit, was that we'd start moving faster and then we'd immediately find the sponge that you guys wanted to collect.
Okay, you're
but
north.
so shore-based scientists, we're actually just going to keep going. Because we can't really stop to grab that at this moment.
And I'm sure we'll see more.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So, Chris, go back to what you were telling
Chris,
us about sponges. It's been a great sponge day. We've learned a lot.
So what I was saying is that all the photographs of that genus Calophacus that I have in either the Hurl or the OER galleries or guides that show the base shows what's called a basiphytus attachment, which means it's a plate that secures onto rock surfaces. This particular Calophacus has been really curious because it's been in the sediment, and so I was wondering whether or not it was just a light dusting of sediment. But seeing that stalk fallen over like that, and I'm sure it's the same sponge, that explains the mystery. This guy is different, and he's a sediment dweller that's got roots that he can use to secure himself in the sediment.
Hey, Chris, how do you know it's a guy?
Don't answer that, Chris.
The pilots are telling you not to answer that. It was a joke.
It's a setup.
It was a joke.
It's a trap.
We didn't hear it. You broke up, so your joke was no good unless you repeat it.
Fish coming in the way.
It wouldn't be as good the second time around.
Go ahead.
It wasn't that good the first time around.
Shark.
Shark, yeah.
You got a fish coming up.
What kind of fish is that?
Is this a deep sea shark?
That's a shark?
Nobody knows.
No.
Looks like a fish to me.
No. It was just the way it was swimming. It was swimming so sinuously.
It really was. I agree.
Okay. Stand by video. Can you come look at me?
This is a tripod fish. It's in the tripod fish family.
Am I pulling
Where are its tripods? So that would be Bathypterois.
Okay, come back.
Is the genus, but where are the tripods?
Hold there. I'll try to follow it.
Landing gear retracted.
It doesn't seem to have any.
So it's a tripod fish without a tripod?
Come wide.
Yeah, so I guess that makes it the untripod family.
We'll try to get it again here.
Is this a nice way of saying you don't know what kind of fish this is?
Two fishes.
This is actually a little bit important to try to document this fish. This is unusual.
Okay, we will do our best. And by we, I really mean our pilots who are
they'd
fantastic.
Like to follow the fish.
Partial.
Can we follow the fish, Navigator, or not?
Following fish.
So perhaps, oh.
We can certainly do our best.
Come in.
Thank you. What did you do to the fish? It stopped moving. They scared it.
Perhaps this is a type of hypnop.
I'm way out there, huh? Okay, I'm wide. I can't
End of the leash.
hold it with the
Full wide.
tether there. I'll try to come left a little.
Like Bathytyphlops. Yes, that's a real thing.
Diva could feel my stare.
I can turn away from
Really?
you.
That's a real thing?
So the closest guess I'm going to go with, Chris, is Hypnopidae
Come down a little,
and
maybe.
Bathytyphlops.
Just a couple
So
meters.
those don't look like they have the tripods that you see in, for instance, Bathypterois. They look like they sit lower on the sea
Try
floor.
it again. Hopefully I don't get tugged.
Yeah, I think I'm almost positive that Hypnopids are on the same page there. The question is, whether it's in that genus Bathytyphlops, which does not have the tripods, I agree, but it just looks different than the Bathytyphlops flops from memory.
I want to make sure we're not starting to move.
Pilot. Copy. Okay, come wide video. That's all I got. It's way off.
It's way off. All right, full wide.
Copy.
Thank you, pilot.
Well, I take that back. The one in the OER gallery that we put together, it kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
All right, where am I?
Got you on your, yeah,
Okay.
just on the edge of my Zeus.
Tie flops. Bathy tie flop. Bathy tie flops.
So, yeah, we'll just
So watch lead nav.
once we start
Yes.
moving,
I show us getting to the waypoint we set in about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes with the ship, and then give it another 10 or 15 to swing in.
Okay.
And
Does that sponge in the center have an enemy on it?
I think they both.
Nav, would it be possible to stop in time to sample one of these? And if not, we just want to keep going, but it'd be nice to know.
it's tough. We're trying
Yeah,
to
you're
rush,
pretty
so
fast.
we got the ship
Yeah,
boogieing and.
got it. Thank you. So, shore-based scientists, right now we actually set the ship to move fairly quickly so that we could attain our goal of getting to that ridge because it's quite far away. And so we really can't stop to grab one of these right now. We'd basically pass it as we were trying to stop.
Yeah, no problem. Yep. We've seen enough of these. I'm sure we'll see some more.
Thanks, Chris.
It does look like there's nice ripple marking on the seafloor as well that appears to be perpendicular to the current that is pushing
You could lose them, Brian.
sponges.
I agree, Patty. I think we've been seeing ripple marks for probably about at least easily the last half hour or so. They've been fairly well defined. Well defined.
so yeah, once we start moving, we're gonna be cooking pretty good.
Yeah. 0.4? Yeah. Yep. Let me know when you start to
Yeah,
to pick up there.
Yeah, the ship's moved 150 meters, and the vehicles have moved maybe 20 or 30.
Yeah, we'll start whipping here soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll start slow, I think, and then accelerate with the ship.
Yeah. While we're waiting for vehicle speed to pick up, Brian, you want to zoom here? Is that just a rock there, or is that something on the other side of the rock?
I can't tell, but I'll
Right
come
above
partial.
lasers?
We're going to have to work on the pilot's terminology of just the
Partial.
rock.
Just
we
rocks.
really got to work on that part.
Rocks.
Is that a fantastic and unique rock upon which there might be some biology?
Okay, so this is a bit interesting
It's just
because we saw
geology.
one of these before where there was sort of the deposit, not deposit, depression where there was a tube in it, and we had just
See here.
thought maybe it was a
There's
polychaete tube or
also
something,
a fish
but
up to the right about a
this is
meter.
another depression with another tube in it, and so that makes me think perhaps
the
it's the
lasers,
proboscis of something, which is actually
halfway
buried
to the end of the screen.
in the sediment
Looks like
and is
just a
just
black dot right
extending
now, but it's fish.
its proboscis out.
Want to come in?
Come in partial.
You
You're
know
right
what
there.
I'm gonna
Lasers
ask,
just
don't
passed
you?
it.
Okay.
So yeah,
I see.
Scott's kind of agreeing.
Can we poke it?
Video.
All right.
Oh, there's an Ipnops fish though. So this is definitely an
Oh, there.
Ipnops, perhaps the species
Sneaking
Ipnops
in on
medai.
If I can.
And you know, they're so characteristic because of the extremely bright eyes on the top of the head.
Just hold there.
Holding.
Take tilt. Give it one up. There we go.
So what's that bright white patch?
Give it another one.
On his head?
Yeah.
I think his eyes.
Really? Does it have two of them, or is it like
I'm not
merged
sure.
into one?
I'm not sure. But I just know that when we've been doing transects in the Eastern CCZ, when we see these, it's because of their glowing patch on their head, which I've always assumed were their eyes. And we've previously called them Ipnops Midi. Okay, so someone just corrected me and said it's a photophore. Tina. Thanks, Tina.
Give it one up there. That's full zoom.
No, I got a little more. Oh, coming wide. All right, coming full wide.
He looks like, what's the one of the... Okay, I'm not going to prove how not Star Trek, Star Wars.
Turn the audio off and then ask me.
Yeah.
We'll go back to you. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Do we want to come back in, Brian, or...?
I think we got a decent shot.
Okay. Actually, come back in.
Okay. Coming partial.
What's the left right next to that guy? Is that something that moves? The ball?
Looks rock-like to me.
Okay.
We've decided to shelve that Star Trek comment.
I don't know what that is, actually.
Mainly because Diva doesn't really know what she's talking about.
There.
She might be the only person on the ship who's not actually a sci-fi fan, though.
To move there, pilot.
Copy.
I got a little bit more.
No.
Okay, give it to it.
All right, that's it.
Copy.
What are we zooming in on?
We don't know. You tell us, scientists.
So a couple rocks here. Also, we can see a couple xenophyrophores. One to the left of the screen, which is sort of gold. One in the middle of the screen, which is dark gray and just looks like a little nubbin.
So those were the xenophyrophores this whole time?
Yep. That's pretty much what they... I mean, they can get much bigger, but...
I'm at 72, so...
I'm going to find it hard to get excited about that particular piece of biology.
A little bit.
Want to get out ahead here at 0.4?
Yeah.
So is there anyone on the shore-based science team that has something interesting and exciting to talk about with mud volcanoes that we haven't heard about yet?
Sounds good.
Or perhaps just discussion of the deep sea in general?
Anything here?
We've got a little bit of transiting to do.
Not on my monitor.
Well, I think it's interesting, and this is Patty, that we've been passing over what looks like, well, there's a star shape. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted by the biology. But we are seeing, I think, the edges of rather thin, probably serpentine mud flows, and they have lots of large class rock sitting on top of them. That's the sort of platy-looking surface that we see in some of the rock exposures probably are dried out, sort of semi-hardened serpentinite flow features, and then the big rocks we see are probably part of the material that's brought up from the fault trace along which the muds rise.
Thank you, Patty. I think someone just said that might have been an isopod that was in the view for a short period of time.
Hi guys, on board. It's Scott here, and since you asked for some info and we're on this transit, I can offer something if you'd like.
Fantastic. Please go ahead.
Well, what I was thinking was that what we're seeing here is more typical of the deep sea. Most of the deep ocean bottom is actually soft sediment. And so when we talk about high diversity in the deep sea, when we first understood there was high diversity back in the deep sea, that was from studies back in the late 1960s. It was based on dredges and box cores of sediments like this. And just because we're not seeing any large stuff, I know you've made this point on some of the previous dives, but there's actually a lot of small stuff that's in the sediments The diversity is higher in the sediments when you're around 2,000 meters, 1,800 meters, and it drops off, but there's still plenty of stuff down here. Essentially, we've talked about the rain of organic matter that falls down through the water column and settles down here on the seafloor. And so a lot of the organisms are actually in the mud, in the seafloor, munching on those organics that have settled, much as Diva before talked about the acorn worm just kind of munching its way through the mud, extracting whatever organics are. Oh, there's actually an interesting feeding trace that was on the right, and that would be a spoonworm. That would be an urine. It looks like a whole bunch of spokes coming out of a hole. I'm probably delayed, so we're past it, but there you go. That's a little bit of information.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott. We just love your little, traversing discussions that we have. Monologues.
Did Scott introduce himself?
No, he
before?
didn't.
Could you tell us who he is?
So Scott, I hope this is good enough. But we just heard from Scott France. He is a professor at Louisiana Lafayette University, and
University of Louisiana.
University of Louisiana Lafayette. Sorry, and he started off doing hydrothermal vent crustaceans in his career, and has since morphed into an expert on deep sea corals, looking at their essentially doing genetic studies with them mostly. Hope that was okay.
If not, Scott, you'll have to call back in and tell us what we missed. But I think his point is very well taken. This is really what a lot of the deep sea floor looks like. We've been to a number of different locations on this expedition so far, so people have had a chance to really see a diversity of landscapes. I'm sorry.
Here with you guys saying on the telecon on the video.
Really? Could you guys bounce into the event log for just a minute and let me know if everybody else can hear and if it's only Scott? Thank you.
So, sorry, I can't understand a word that's being said when I'm on the telecon by you. It's just coming out as a squeak, and so I'm just waiting until the squeaking stops, and then I'll say something. I'm listening. I have to then turn that off and go to the video. Then we're really delayed. But I think you introduced me to a deep sea biologist, and I'm using the subtle organism deep sea coral for the last 15, 20 years.
I couldn't tell, but it was new.
In order to understand where the biodiversity of the deep sea has originated, what are the processes involved in. I first got into this question when I learned that there was high species diversity in the deep sea, and I thought, if it's so cold and high pressure and little food, where the heck are all these organisms coming from? And I'll stop because I see you see something.
Yeah, so Scott, do you just want to go ahead and tell us what this is?
Can I come tighter?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I thought it looked like a ctenophore, but...
Still, yeah,
what is that? That's weird.
Ctenophore.
Just hold.
Hold on.
Okay, that was a delay. So we're looking at a benthic ctenophore, I believe, here. Unless, this is probably a ctenophore, maybe that's up at the bottom. This looks like a dead or dying burrowed ctenophore. So ctenophores are typical. Most of them are pelagic. They swim through the water column and capture other organisms. And this one is, you see, kind of flattened, which suggests it's in that burrowed group. And the flattened ones are often specialists for feeding on other gelatinous zooplankton, like other jellyfish or maybe even other ctenophores. And you can see those white lines along the body. Those would be the comb rows. And you can see on one side there on the right, there's a little bit of rainbow color. That's the iridescence. It's basically reflecting the light from the ROV. And those comb rows are made of bands of cilia, and they beat those cilia just like paddles or paddles of a boat. And this is the largest animal that is known to still use cilia as a form of locomotion. So although it's kind of reminiscent of a jellyfish in that it's gelatinous and moves through the water column, it doesn't move like a jellyfish. A jellyfish is actually jet propulsed by squeezing the bell and forcing water out. These guys just have lots of tiny oars on the body.
Very cool.
Thank you, Scott. That was great and a very detailed explanation of what we were looking at. Thank you so much.
And on your other note, we are actually looking into the audio right now. So hold tight. Nav, this is Watch Lead.
Go ahead, Watson.
I don't want you to be bored, so I'm going to keep asking you questions about how far to our ridge.
The ship is within 10 meters of where I think it's going to stop, but we're pretty close in any event.
Okay, great.
So then it'll be another 15 minutes maybe till we really come to a halt.
Perfect.
But we'll be slowing down, and then my expectation would be at some point we'd start east.
Try to push out there.
And if you want to sort of see where we wind up and look around a little bit,
look at it, Brian?
maybe have an opportunity to do some sampling.
Yep.
That would make sense before we start east. But
sounds great to me. Thank you.
Otherwise, we only have another hour, so we need to.
It's pretty stationary.
Make the best of it.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Anyway. As it starts moving.
So this is another one of the Caridian shrimp, which we tend to typically see swimming through the water column as gracefully as it's doing. I'm not a crustacean expert, but I find it difficult to tell whether this is an aristeid or Penaeid, which are the next classifications down from Caridian. But yeah, it's going to be one of those. But you can see they've got the modified appendages at the back to help them swim, as well as some very long antennae, which are act in a sensory capacity.
Copy. Thank you, video.
Thank you, Bridge.
Chris Kelly is suggesting this is perhaps an aristeid shrimp.
Got flares, I'll tilt down for you.
Wow, we left the vehicles halfway back to where we started.
Oh yeah, we took off.
No, the ship just is stopping right here. The vehicles have really only moved halfway.
Yeah. So he either got a lot of swing or...
Well, yeah, you've got a lot of swing.
It's really the
3,500 meters of cable out.
Yeah.
Drag it sideways through the water. Interesting things happen.
Yep. What's that? Little return to my right. Little divot.
So Patty, I was just discussing with Deb whether we thought these were manganese nodules or polymetallic nodules as they're called now. Very tiny ones, but is that what we think these black specks on the sediment are?
Well, that's what I would suspect. I'm not really an expert on manganese nodules, so don't know for sure, but we certainly have recovered a lot of that sort of material. It looks like those when we've been down there with ROVs taking push cores. The push core will contain them.
That sounds good.
Thank you, Patty. Yeah, we both kind of thought that might be what we were looking at, but we weren't entirely sure. So for the shore-based science team, and for those of you who are just following along, we were just completing a transit. We moved about 300 meters, or we're in the process of moving about 300 meters to the north of where we had last really spent some time on the seafloor. And that's because we're going to try to head up to a ridge, a slightly higher part of this summit of this mud volcano. Once we find the ridge, we'll probably then try to look around there briefly and then make a run a little bit uphill. We don't have a ton of time left on this dive, so we're going to try to maximize all that time we do get on the bottom.
I don't recognize what that is.
To the left.
Left.
Copy.
Yeah, it'd be good to take a look at that, which I assume you're planning to do.
Ophiuroid?
We are now.
Some type.
Could we just do a quick zoom on that?
So
is
this
that an
looks
ophiuroid
like
on a rock?
No, it looks like it's an asteroid.
An asteroid on a rock? I'm sorry, it's far away.
Common error right there.
Common error?
So this actually looks like a brisingid.
Oh,
Which you
brisingids.
should know.
No, not when they're draped over a rock
Yeah, so
like
this
that.
is a droopy brisingid. So
Yeah.
this looks like a brisingid sea star, perhaps Phreastera, because it's got 6 arms. We've seen quite a couple of these during this expedition.
It's kind of sad that this is the highest ground
I was
this brisingid could
just
find.
about to say that, like literally just about to say that.
So that's the one thing I've learned. I definitely know from this expedition is that these suspension feeders really like to get to a high place. They like to be on top of a ridge. They like to be, on the top of a boulder. Unfortunately, this is the biggest boulder that they've found, and that's not very big.
Fill the frame.
Boulder is generous.
Boulder is a very generous term for today, don't you think?
And then going back to what Patty and I were chatting about earlier, these do sort of look like little manganese nodules
on the
seafloor.
Sure.
That's not surprising, though.
No, considering we're in
That's all I got.
the Pacific.
I can come closer.
At these depths,
No, I don't think
especially.
so.
Yeah, this is about right.
Roger that, whenever you're clear or whatever you need.
All right.
I feel kind of bad for this brisingid.
He looks tired, or she. Pilots, we are good whenever you're good. Thank you.
So that whole rock was not even 10 centimeters big. So that was the smallest boulder in the history of boulders. What's that over there?
The white thing?
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah. We don't have to, we can just zoom in quickly. If we can.
Snap zoom.
Go ahead, video.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah, you're not allowed to point things out anymore.
Evidently, I can't point anything out. Don't listen to me.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. We can continue
That
going
might have
on.
been something very important. One never knows.
Wide video.
Go on.
Copy, thanks. Okay, watch these. I'm going to pass you off here.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
In case you're wondering why we're saying goodbye and thank you, there is an ROV team shift change right now. That's not what I wanted. So while we're waiting here, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the Marianas Trench Marine National Monument, which is one of the, it's really the main area that we've been exploring as we've been working on this expedition. The Marianas Trench Marine National Monument actually protects over 95,000 square miles of submerged lands and water. And it has 3 different units. So it has a unit that is the islands, which is the water and submerged land of the 3 northernmost Mariana Islands.
Josh.
It has a volcanic unit that's the submerged lands within sort of 1 nautical mile of 21 different volcanic sites. And then it has a trench unit, which is from the exclusive economic zone of the U.S. In this Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. And it goes all the way... It's kind of amazing, actually, how much is within these 3 units of the Marianas Trench Marine National Monument. And these 3 legs that make up the deep water exploration of the Marianas are ROV leg, a mapping leg that will take place after our leg, and then a 3rd ROV leg are helping to explore the area, to understand what is known and what is not known about this whole region, and to do some mapping to help with resource management and to help with understanding what it is this National Marine Monument is protecting.
All right, come on in.
Oh, we saw one of these yesterday.
Did we?
Yeah, someone called it like a cookie cutter, something like that. No, I swear that's what they called it. I thought maybe it's not the same one as yesterday. It looked like that. Although this looks sort of misshapen compared to that one.
Little different. Yeah, they're called cookie star. I think that's what Chris
Cookie cutter. Cookie star, cookie cutter.
Coming out video.
Chris, I think I'm actually doing quite well.
Yeah, I think that it looks like a Christmas cookie.
See?
All right, looking down at you, Josh. Yep.
There are more of those little tumbleweeds right next to it.
Yeah, we saw more of those little round guys. While we're continuing our traverse, I'll talk a little bit actually about the volcanic unit of the Marianas Trench Marine National Monument. Because it's an area that's a little bit near and dear to both mine and Diva's hearts. The volcanic unit is what's protecting many of the hydrothermal vents in this region. And so there's a great diversity of hydrothermal venting along the Marianas Trench.
I do agree.
There are areas that have molten sulfur. There are areas that have liquid carbon dioxide.
I don't know why people
there are areas of what laughingly we would call typical high temperature black smokers.
I can understand
it's really a very, very diverse set of hydrothermal vents that are protected in this region.
Too. Oh, absolutely, yeah. But on a flat terrain like this, like having them all the way out looks much nicer. Check, check. Oh, Jeff was on this morning. That's why side tone was at 0 dB. He loves that side tone.
So when Diva and I were asked to participate in this expedition, I think both of us could not have been more excited if we had tried, because for most deep sea explorers, getting to come to the Marianas Trench is sort of a bucket list place. It's the Marianas Trench hosts the deepest part of the ocean, the Challenger Deep, which is over 11,000 meters deep. It's so deep that our vehicle, the D2, can't actually get, it can only get about halfway down to 6,000 meters. It's so deep that our ship can't even map the seafloor at the base of the trench, because our ship can only map to about 8,000 meters, only about 8,000 meters. So you have to really think about just how deep these areas are. It's really quite astounding when you're thinking about 11,000 meters, the deepest place in the ocean. So, Patty, you've been working in the Marianas Trench for, I believe you said, over 30 years. Do you always find something new every expedition?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question, and the answer is yes. You know, every time we go to the seafloor, we do something, of course, that nobody else has ever seen. But each one of the mud volcanoes that I'm fascinated by has a very different type of series of flows from the active vents. Vents themselves look very different. There are different kinds of animals.
Yeah, keep going.
All of this.
Don't zoom on that.
It's a little shell.
Extremely complex and fascinating.
Just seeing if there's
Thank
any
you,
small
Patty.
stuff here.
Yeah, I kind of figured that you would never lack for something interesting to try to explore here, especially because the geology is so very complex.
A little something
Whereabouts?
center.
So that looks like another one of the bryozoans, which we saw earlier today. At least that's what we think we think it is.
Hey, come on that video.
But
and there are the fluffy balls again.
I mean, again, I feel like those are much more degraded
I agree. I
than we saw
completely agree with
previously.
you. But it's nice that.
Oh, what's this thing right in front? We're just about to go over something.